Hey, this is Mylan Smith with Joe Byers, and this is the Kookville Podcast. This is our third entry in the podcast series. For those of you who don't know, Kookville is a new TV show. It's a sitcom that we're trying to put up here in Pensacola, Florida. And what we've done is we've shot 10 episodes so far. And we're trying to get them edited and sent out to Film Hub. Film Hub is one of those, I guess it's a distributor, and they make sure that everything looks good and they'll send it out to streamers. Right now, we've got 3 episodes that have gone through quality control, got kicked back, and now we're trying to fix them and send them back out. So that is where we're at the moment, while at the same time we're also trying to ramp up for a second season if possible. This is something we hope to do in early 2027. It's been quite an experience trying to juggle shooting, editing, and planning for an entirely new season. And that was what makes it a lot of fun of doing independent movies and TV shows.
Fun in quotes.
Yes, exactly. What I thought I'd do is just talk a little bit about how we got to where we're at. Basically, this whole thing started a few years ago when I was in an improv class. And there was 3 of us in this scene where I played the straight guy to these 2 people who are completely off the rails, just crazy people. And it was a lot of fun playing in that scene. And I thought, well, why not try to turn this into something? And what we did was we started off making a web series. It was 8 episodes long, and it was a lot of fun. So we figured, let's do another 8 episodes. Try to expand the character list. And Joe was involved in the first season as one of our Skunk Ape boys. And you actually edited a couple of our episodes, didn't you?
No, I directed.
Huh?
I directed an episode.
Right. Yeah. You directed an episode with both seasons, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't edit.
Huh?
I didn't edit.
Oh, did I say edit? Okay, yes, you directed. We had our first season was shot in 2020, right before the whole COVID thing started coming down. And then we shot the second season in early 2021. And as we were going into the second season, we thought, why don't we try to turn this into a TV show? Basically, it's just about it's a fish out of water story of Dominic O'Connor, who ends up in this small town full of weirdos. And they torment him, which is fun, watching him suffer. That's basically the gestation, the most general basic idea behind Kookville. And after that, we came up with 10 scripts for the first season of Kookville, and now we're trying to do the second season.
In the first in the first iteration in the web series,
yeah,
somewhere along the line, you started thinking about doing this as a TV show. Can you say something about that process? Now that you know better, of course, you would never do it, but back then you were young and ignorant.
Exactly. Yeah.
What was the process whereby the web series became a TV show?
It was somewhere between the first and second season. I just started thinking about it, and my biggest goal for the second season was just to create more characters for us to work with, because I really didn't know where this was going to go and how it was going to look. So my thought was just come up with more characters and try to flesh out the town of Kookville. And, Kookville, Florida's kind of famous for its oddballs, but usually you think of them in South Florida. There's a bunch of TV shows, kind of focused on that, on weirdos in South Florida. But, we have a few weirdos up here. Maybe not as many as in the TV show, but we've got a few. And I really wanted to, create a show just showing, some of the fun that we have up here. Most of these characters are fictional, and they're not really based on anybody I know personally, but there's the personality types that I think sort of ring
archetype
where you go. Yeah, archetypes if you want. Yeah, but that is how it got started, and so going into the second season, we already knew that we wanted to consider doing a TV show, and Joe's right. Maybe I wouldn't have done it if I knew everything that was involved. Ignorance sometimes is a really positive trait when you're trying to do a really big project. The woman who was working with us originally with the web series kind of dropped out. She said that, for me it was an ambition, but for her it was a hobby, and it was just becoming too big of a hobby. And, she's right. It can get very, very big because you have to deal with so many people and so many situations, finding locations, and that's a big one right there. And finding people that will, get involved and take it seriously. It's not easy to do.
No, and we have a pretty good sized cast. I mean, not really that much for a TV show, but compared to a play or maybe even a movie, there's a big cast. All the actors are here as volunteers, so they work this around their own lives, and that makes it difficult sometimes to get people to commit. We've been pretty lucky that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, technically, if we make money, we will pay people. Unfortunately, it's not easy to do when you're an independent, particularly a micro budget independent like we are. I mean, you could discuss what is even an independent for that matter.
Well, what do you think an independent is?
Well, I think of independent as somebody who doesn't have much money. But technically speaking, even movies with tens of millions of dollar budgets can be considered independent, because there's like 5 studios: Warner Brothers, Paramount, Disney, and 2 others that are considered,
Hollywood
studio. Yeah, Hollywood studio. But think of like A24. It's like a $2 billion company. They make movies worth, that cost tens of millions of dollars. Like Civil War is a $50 million movie, but they call that independent. That's, they're in a completely
a lot of money
world from me. I mean, Hollywood makes movies with lower budgets than that, and that's, that's really a lot of money. I mean, things we could do with even 1 million is just crazy.
I wonder if it has something to do with the built-in distribution of a movie, whether it has one or doesn't. I mean, anything that Disney does has got built-in distribution, but A24 may not have the same kind of distribution deals. Standing.
I don't know.
Standing distribution deal.
Now, when you say distribution, you're talking about theatrical releases?
Yeah, theatrical.
Yeah. I don't know. If you get a $50 million movie, you're probably getting in all the theaters you want to. But there's other ways that, the independent label affects you too. I mean, look at something like Sundance. That was supposed to be for independent movies. But I mean, when you're talking about movies worth 10, 20, 30 million dollars, I mean, I don't.
That's 10, 20, 30 million more than we've got.
Well, exactly. I mean, we're on a shoestring budget, and that shoestring is frayed. It's barely holding together.
About that long.
Yeah. Barely keeps the shoes on. But that's the thing, So what is independent? I'm thinking maybe we need to come up with different terms, not just say micro budget independent, I mean, if your budget is over 10 million, that's a huge difference from 1 million. And, anyone under a million, you're dealing with a much different world than what we're dealing with, under a million to say someone even over a million, like 2 or 3 million.
Maybe there ought to be a bargain basement category instead of micro bargain basement budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Something. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know how the best way to go forward as an independent like that, because we're lumped in with the same people who have millions of dollars, and which means you can get really, excellent, well-known talent to direct and act in your shows or movies.
One thing you can say is that this movement, this new media movement, where you get people that are podcasters and YouTubers are creating their own content, sometimes maybe for less money than we're doing it for, and are having huge effects. So I'm not sure how long the old system's going to be able to stand on its doddering legs. It looks like, things might be rife for people like us, because, and I can tell you this, because I've been a shooter since 1989 and used equipment that at the time was a camera was $30,000 back in 1989. So that's $100,000 now. And that was just a video camera. That didn't include those like Arriflexes or whatever, really expensive film cameras. And of course, shooting stuff that looked cinematic would have been done on film. And then there's the cost of film, and all of that stuff was very prohibitive to doing what we're doing now, which is that you can literally do it with a phone.
Yeah.
And it looks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I thought of.
So that.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's changed the face of things a lot.
Yeah. 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 I thought about doing, Kookville on phones, but I mean, there are still some advantages that, a 4K camera has, and I'd like to try to do the best quality we can on that. Although we are starting to do some like really shorts, like 1 to 2 minute little pieces on the phones, because it's just quicker and faster. We can put out more content. But the actual TV show, which we're hoping to get onto some major streamers, we're trying to do the best, use the best equipment we can with the, the best quality of, talent and such that we can get. And people have an attitude about, for film or for sitcoms, an actual camera versus a TV or a phone camera. It does make a difference in how people approach it. Whether they should or not is a different story.
Sure.
Yeah.
Perception.
Yeah. But, so you mentioned so you shot as a news cameraman, and then you actually made commercials. You wrote and edited commercials for a local TV station.
Actually, for the local cable company.
Oh, for the local cable company. Did you ever see yourself actually working on a regular TV show, fiction, however small budget it is?
I'll tell you, in my background, I was in radio. That's my first career path into the communications field.
Yeah.
It was many, many years ago. I only did it for about 4 years at a small market radio station in a small town. And I ended up moving down here to Pensacola, and I knew that I wanted to shoot. I had been a still photographer, amateur still photographer, not a particularly good one, but my dad was a big amateur film buff, and I inherited some of his cameras when I
Really?
got to be a teenager and started shooting that. And then I took a very rudimentary video course in college, but the equipment was so old at the time that it was literally reel-to-reel video. It was open-face video tapes that you put on and threaded through the heads and back onto the take-up reel. It was black and white, and it was terrible quality. But I kind of had a bug then for that. And I started working on a master's degree, but I took a lower level news course and started shooting for that. And I did that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then ended up getting a job at one of the local affiliates, and then did that for a couple of years, and then got a job at another affiliate here in town and did that for 8 years. But I always kind of knew that I wanted to be a shooter. And so I didn't go into news as a news guy, as some people do, and rightfully so. They enter the news business as news people.
Yeah.
I entered as a photographer, as a cinematographer, as a news photographer. Photographer here being the operative word. I wanted to be a shooter, and then ended up making TV commercials after that. After I left news, I did that for about 13 years. Made a lot of commercials over that time.
Yeah.
So for me, it was always the shooting and the editing to some extent, but it was the shooting. That's what really piqued my interest, and I always wanted to be a shooter. Like I said, no matter what aspect of shooting it was, I wanted to be a shooter.
Really? I was a journalist for a while myself. I worked for the Destin Log for a little over a year. It wasn't because I wanted to do news. I actually just wanted to write. And this is one of the things I found, that most people in newspapers, most of them, they want to be writers. Now, maybe they're not willing to do the work to actually write the novels and get them sent out, but that's what they really want to do. And I thought everyone wanted to do hard news, and it turns out like most of them, not all, but most of them want to do features because they found that more fun. And that was an interesting, a bit of news for me, or interesting insight for me to find that out. Because I always, these old movies, you always have the hero who wants to break the big story and get on the front page. And there's definitely people like that. But there's so many who they just love writing. And this is a job that actually pays them to write, although they'd rather write other stuff.
And my experience was a bit different. Most TV reporters are adverse to fluff, and features are kind of considered fluff.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
for me, as a shooter, that was always where the real interest was.
Sure. Yeah.
For me, because you could be creative. There's only so much creativity that can go into a news story, because you can't manipulate things to much extent.
Sure. Yeah.
You're required not to manipulate them. Shoot what's there.
Yeah.
But you're still choosing angles. You're choosing places to stand. You're still making creative choices. And I like that part of it.
Sure.
And you got more of an opportunity to do that on features than you did on hard news.
Yeah.
That was what we used to call run and gun. Or
Right.
They used to say, shoot it like a train wreck, meaning just spray and pray kind of a thing. And that really wasn't where my interest lied. It was more in the creative end of it. And I got that making TV commercials.
Right. Well, yeah, I guess with the features, you get to talk to people, you get into their personality, into their background, which is
Exactly.
a lot of fun. You get to do more description. You get to, just talk about people. Like your typical news story in newspapers is 10 to 15 inches. And the first few inches is just who, what, when, where, why, how. Senator so-and-so got caught bribing or taking a bribe from the sugar lobby, blah, blah, blah. And you talk about, how he got arrested, what the charges are, and a few things like that. You don't really get to delve into the personalities at all. And, as a writer, this is not as much fun. You're almost like a human tape recorder. which, I mean, we need the news, and you do learn how to write, very clean prose, but it isn't as much fun. I mean, I would have loved to have done features all day long, but, you don't always get what you want.
You and everybody else apparently in the business wanted to do features.
Yes. A few people did, but I did not.
So what is currently happening with Kookville? Where are things right now? Where do things stand with the TV show? We covered that a little bit. Can we go into a little bit more depth with it?
Yeah. Well, basically, we are hoping to start shooting another season at least start it in early 2027. It's about 10 months from now. I've got 10 scripts. I'm going back over them, trying to, clean them up, tighten them up. I mean, I had 11, but I'm thinking, let's just stick to 10, I mean, it's tough enough to do 10.
So new characters, revisiting characters, a little bit of both?
Well, the focus is going to be on the characters that are established in the first season.
Okay.
And I mean, some other characters do come in, but it's not like focused on them. We have like 6, 7, 8 that are the main ones. The Skunk Ape Boys, Hosquatch, the director, Minnie Flannelly, who's a little bit loony and chases people through graveyards with an axe.
Amongst other things.
Yes. She's an interesting person, very entertaining. And then we have a few more. Oh, Cecil Lynn, who is our local barmaid, and Garis, who's a musician. Well, he's a poet, not a particularly good one, who decided he's going to start a band. So, these are the main ones, and then people come and go. I have no problem adding new people, but, for the most part, they'll be secondary characters. You can only have, as a sitcom, you got to focus on your core people to go from season to season. And maybe after my initial hope is that Kookville will last 5 seasons. And then if people, discover us and like us, we can.
Or we're not all dead by then.
Yes. And Joe's saying that because it's been taking us a long time to get this first season out. Because we shot the first half of it in 2023. And then the second half of it in 2024. And so it's kind of taking taking us a while to get this thing edited, a lot longer than we'd hoped for. We hope to, speed that up in the future. If we can.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Off the subject a little bit. We were talking about old characters and new characters. Who is your favorite Kookville character? Which character is your favorite one and why?
Well, yours, of course.
Well, without being all right. So Mylan plays probably the main character, the thing on which this show hangs, named Dominic. So you can't answer Dominic, and you can't answer Skunk Ape. Skunk Ape. You could do Shannon or other Skunk Ape boy. But do you have a favorite character? Because I do.
It's a good question. Oh my gosh. I have a lot of fun, so I can't talk about the Skunk Ape Boys. I can't talk about Dominic. So,
well, you could if you wanted to. I'll allow it.
I really like Hosquatch because he's such an asshole, and the stuff I'm writing for season 2, he's such an ass.
So, can I tell you my favorite?
Please do.
You're talking about Hosquatch. Hosquatch is my favorite. I mean, I like the Skunk Ape Boys. I have a lot of fun playing one of the Skunk Ape Boys. Shannon and I, the guy who plays the other one, I think we bounce real well with each other. But I really like the character of Hosquatch. I like our actor, Brandon Mayo, does a wonderful job with this character. But there is something compelling about that character to me. I've known people like him. He is this walking calamity, and he doesn't see it, that he might be causing it himself. I'm not certain he's causing it himself. I think maybe the fates, the gods have lined up against him.
Yeah.
Maybe because he's got hubris, and that's why they've lined up against him. But his hand turns everything to mud. But before it turns to mud, it's this beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of goes south on him.
Yeah.
He keeps getting people killed in his performances and maimed, and never sees his own gullibility, and not gullibility, his own what's the word I'm looking for? His own
naivete, or
well, no, his own guilt in that. Guilt's not quite the right word, but his own something about his personality tends to bring this stuff upon.
Yeah,
and it's others around him that suffer.
He's his own worst enemy.
And like one of his actors lost some fingers.
Yeah,
and not all of them, but a lot of them. He's just compelling, and I think there's something about him that he has not delusions of grandeur, but he has this desire for grandeur, and he gets little tastes of it. He moves away from Kookville, and then it goes wrong. He moves up to bigger, better, greener pastures, and then he does something that screws it all up, and he gets sent back to Hades. He gets sent back to Kookville, as it were.
Yes,
and has to start over again. And he starts over by doing the exact same thing he was doing before, which will lead him in that same circular, cyclical path where he'll escape and then be smote and come back.
Yeah.
Smitten. Don't you think?
Yes. Yeah, I think you got it perfectly. I mean, he has a way of cutting his own throat, basically. But I think we should also add, to be fair, so we mentioned a lot of guys there. Let's talk about Minnie Flannelly for just a minute. Dominic first meets her. I don't want to talk too much, but he meets her in a graveyard, and she's wielding an axe. And the woman who plays her is wonderful, Leah Johnson. And she said that she decided when she's going to audition for this, she was just going to go all out crazy, just pull out all the stops. And what she sent to me was just insane, and I loved it. And I was like, oh yeah, that is Minnie. And again, I want to be careful. I don't want to give away too much. But she does some really crazy things, and she has a way of she takes a liking to Dominic, but has a way of tormenting him at the same time. And Dominic is in his own head. Dominic is feeling so sorry for himself that he doesn't really notice anything about him around him. He ends up here because of a bad relationship gone bad, and losing his job. And he's just licking his wounds, and it's woe is me through the entire thing. And you can't see that he could have friends and things here in Kookville because he's an idiot.
He's too self-absorbed.
He is. And, obviously he probably would always be a little self-absorbed, but because of everything that happened to him, he is just miserable.
I always felt like Dominic was one of those people that was too smart, not smart enough to know where he's not smart enough.
Yeah. He's
smart, not quite smart enough to know those places where he's not smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't see his own foibles.
Yeah. Yeah. He's one of those guys that he was charmed for most of his life, and then his luck sort of ran out. and then he's like anti-charmed. His life just sucks, and nothing seems to go right. And granted, things could go better for him, but he does have a tendency to get in his own way.
So we've caught the pendulum on the downswing with the show.
Yeah, he's going through a lot of stuff. Hopefully his life will get better before, all the seasons, wind up, finished.
But not too better, because we wouldn't have a show then.
Well, yeah, but by the end of the show, and like I said, my hope is to go 5 seasons. I'm looking at 5 seasons of 10 episodes a season. That's my hope right now. So 50, roughly 50, unless we really, start catching and get really huge. Maybe we can go to a 6th season. But other than that, like I said, we're coming up with a lot of characters that we can send out into the world. And maybe, we could do another, extension about new characters. Possibly.
Son of Kookville.
Son of Kookville. Yeah, could be. Or maybe there's a female version of Dominic that comes into town.
The Skunk Ape Boys do Manhattan.
Oh, God, that would be hilarious. That would really be funny.
Hey, their swamp candy takes off, and they end up on Mulberry Road in Manhattan with a storefront selling authentic swamp candy, and everyone loves it because nobody knows what it's made out of.
Yes. Come watch that episode. The episode is called Cursed, and it's a very creative use of gator leftovers, shall we say. But we're about done with this episode. If anyone has any questions they want to ask or would like us to talk about anything in particular, please let us know in comments. We do read.
How would they do that? In the comments?
Yeah. Okay. In the comments. Also, you can go to kookville.com, which is our website. And at the bottom, at kookvillelife@gmail.com, you can also send us an email. And I do check those. So, please feel free to let us know what you're thinking. We'd like to know what you're thinking. And I would also want to add, we are going to start putting out some shorts. Up to now, we've been putting out a lot of BTS. In the next month or so. Huh?
Behind the scenes, in case people don't know what BTS is.
Right. I shouldn't have assumed people knew that. Our social media maven, Stephanie's been putting out a lot of BTS for us. And we're going to try to start doing some shorts based on Kookville characters. And, try to expand a little bit about what we do here at Kookville. So, but we have talked about next time we do this podcast, Joe had a really good idea. What we're going to do is we'll do half the show or maybe a little bit less, just talking about Kookville news. And then maybe we might review an old movie, a bad movie, basically.
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. Let's just say a smaller, more iffy film.
Right. So, again, if you have any suggestions of what movie we should do, we will be happy to hear them. And if you have any other questions for us, please let us know. All right. Anything else,
Welcome
Joe,
to Kookville.
or we need to do? Anything else we need to look at? Talk about?
No, I think that's good. I just want to say welcome to Kookville for everyone. That's kind of a catchphrase on the show. So welcome to Kookville.
Yes, welcome to Kookville. And thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. This is our only 3rd time we're doing it. Riverside, according to Riverside FM, only 8% of podcasts get to the 10th episode. I'm determined to get to 10 episodes. Hopefully Joe will stick it out with me. And
well, you owe me money, so I'd like to keep my eye on you, so I'll be there.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyway, thank you very much. Y'all have a very good night, and we'll see you next time.